Two dads and a Chaz putting trophies on the wall. Two dads and a Chaz is talking Green Bay Packers football. Not exactly qualified, but answers the call. Two dads and a Chaz talking Green Bay Packers football.
We gonna break it all down, probably leave out some facts. We gonna make some statements that we'll likely regret. Mostly gossip and rumors made straight off the top. So crank up the air conditioner, cause it's bound to get hot.
Two dads and a Chaz, you know we live it and we live it right. Two dads and a Chaz, we gonna break down football for you tonight. Besides them rings and putting trophies on the wall.
Trophies, y'all.
Two dads and a Chaz is talking Green Bay Packers football. Yeah, we talking Green Bay Packers football.
Welcome to Two Dads and a Chaz podcast, the Green Bay Packer podcast with the Dad Bodcast. However, this pod is not for kids as we use foul language and borderline cancel speech. So if you got cheese in your veins, beer on your breath, and Packers in your heart, welcome home, ladies and gents. I am your host with the most, Chaz, aka the Wisco Kid. Oh, please settle down. But now it's time to introduce the dads of Two Dads and a Chaz pod. This dad thinks vegans are silly and has been seen moonlighting as a Samba instructor at the local Elks Club in Monona. He's what happens when you mix Don Knotts from Mayberry with Rickety Cricket from Philadelphia. The porcelain prince himself, Aaron Mayhew. How you feeling, brother?
Damn it, Chaz. Really, really good. I can feel the energy on the pod today.
Right?
I was almost forgetting what it felt like to be a winner. And so, yeah, I'm ready to roll, boys. Let's get into it.
Here we go. This dad right here needs no introduction, but here's one for him anyway. He is last, but he is not least. Our special guest this week. He has lived many lives and worn many hats. He has been many places and serviced many ladies, not to mention both mine and Aaron's moms.
Ooh.
The king of the eights, the master procrastinator, the Canadian cleaver. Give it up for Buddy. Oh, give it up for him. There he is. There he is.
Thank you so much.
There he is.
Thank you so much. It's good to be
buddy.
here. What a game. I am fired up. Fired up.
Where did you get that sweater?
Oh, yeah, you like that?
I love that.
All
Oh
right.
yeah.
I actually got
love
that at the St. Vincent de Paul in De Pere, just outside of Green Bay.
Those were a lot of Wisconsin statements just made for those of you out of staters. Those are real places, believe it or not. He did not make them up. First and foremost, guys, we got to talk about initial thoughts from the game. It was a huge game and finally a win. But I'm going to take it to Buddy to start off this segment because he was actually at the game. I don't know how he got tickets. I don't know where he got tickets. I don't know who he knows or who he blows. But apparently he was at the game. Buddy, tell me a little bit about the experience.
Yes, I was at the game. It just so happened my son got me tickets. Yeah, for my birthday. Thank you, buddy.
Of course,
Appreciate it.
Pops, of course.
All right. So I was at the game. I experienced it. I walked in, kissed the Lambeau Field like I normally do. Gave it the homage, and a lot of Cowboys fans. I got to tell you, a lot of Cowboys fans. It was feeling like that Jets game. Where there was so much of the enemy around, and it was a little scary, And my seats, I was surrounded by them. Cowboys fans behind me, Cowboys fans in front of me, left, right. They were everywhere.
What's the banter like from the Dallas fans? I'm always kind of curious. Some fans that come are like, they're cordial. They joke around a little bit. Some fans are just complete dicks, So what was your experience in that regard?
Yeah, they were not cordial. They were not cordial at all. They were there. They were serious, and they were dicks, And they were saying all kinds of stuff, And I was trying to sit back and and not get too cocky and overconfident because I feel like I do that sometimes at these games, and I bring some bad vibe to the game, So I was trying to stay under control as much as possible, but it was hard. I mean, I had a guy sitting right in front of me with a little kid, and he was flipping off an old man down my row a little bit in front of his son. What? You know, it wasn't right. And at the beginning of the game, man, they were loud and they were noisy. And I'm thinking to myself, okay. But, you know, it started off, the Packers started running the ball, man. They started smashing it. They were doing well. Of course, Dallas did pretty well too. And anytime Dallas did anything well, you know, these smart mouths, they'd be at it again, over and over again. And I was just trying to bite my tongue.
Well, but how did they last as far as dealing with the weather? Because, you know, I mean, it's not that we don't get our freezes down here for like a week or 2 weeks, but how did they last in the long term? Because this game went into OT.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's what I was waiting for, you know. They were all, oh yeah, we got our extra coats on, and I drove Uber again, you know, and I gave a lot of Cowboys fans rides over to the local stores to pick up coats and socks and things like that. But most of them, they had no clue what it was going to be like, you know, and you could see them starting to get cold. And then I was like, okay, here we go. It was around, you know, just before halftime, you see them starting to rub the gloves, you know, and do this kind of stuff, and you know, start sitting like this. I'm thinking, okay. And so I start saying, oh, those players down there are getting cold. They're getting cold down there. You know how much it hurts when you get hit, when this starts getting cold out. It just stings. I don't know if they could take it much longer, so I'm starting to mouth off a little bit here. Now, I don't know. People don't know what Quick Trip is unless they're from Wisconsin. But I went to Quick Trip, and they had those hand warmers on sale for $1 a piece. I bought $20 worth of them, 2 in each pack, and I started handing them out to the Packers fans. So, any Packers fans here getting cold?
Yeah.
Because I got extra hand warmers, and I'm handing these out. Oh, thank you. I said, put some in your shoes. You know, I got them in my shoes. My feet are nice and warm. I'm going on and on. I'm making a big deal out of it, you know. And they're like, oh, thank you. And I see these guys, they're starting to shiver, man. And as the game got towards the end, you know, and the whole vibe of the game changed. You could feel it in the stadium, because when it started off, it was just kind of we're sitting in our seats, you know, we're losers. We're here to watch our team play. But, you know, as the game went on, it got friggin' crazy. And I'm kind of known for being able to walk into a place and get people fired up around me. I kind of have that talent. So I jump up on my feet and I'm starting to yell and scream and talk about how cold it is. And these guys are getting colder and colder. They're running down. All of a sudden, groups of them, I hear them talking about, yeah, we're going to run down to the atrium and warm up and watch the game on the TV set, you know? And I'm going, oh my God, watching the game on the TV set. The boys, these guys can't handle it. It was a blast. I think that was the most fun. Not that winning the game wasn't fun and watching the game wasn't fun. It was great. I had these awesome seats where I could just look down and see the whole field, what was going on. I really liked it. And because like last time I was at that game from the Jets, I was sitting up, you know, way down near the field, and I couldn't watch the game as well. So I really enjoyed it. But yeah, they slowly left. Slowly out they went, you know, one at a time, leaving. A couple of them came back at one point, but they didn't stay long. I kept saying
they couldn't hack it.
Yeah, couldn't hack it. And then they get ready to go into overtime, and I'm like, yeah, overtime. I love overtime. I can stay here all day.
In the element, bro.
Yeah. And they're like, that guy with the kid, they were gone. People behind me, gone. It was great. It was.
And then the fans fill in behind you, right? And around you.
They do. And they got all fired up and excited. It was a wonderful game. And I even cheered for Aaron Rodgers when he was going into the tunnel. What? You know, I've been kind of down on him for a while now, but I gave him his props, man. I gave him his props.
Mhm.
Sit down there by the tunnel and cheered for the guy because he followed the game plan. He ran the
Mhm.
ball. You know, he got up under center, and it was good to see. It was good to see. So you got to give a guy some props when he deserves them.
I do got to ask, how was the reception for Mike McCarthy?
The reception for Mike McCarthy was awesome, and not only was it for him, but it was for all the coaches that he kind of took with him and that used to be with us that are all now on the Cowboys. They put them all up on the screen, all their names, and it was really nice. It was really nice. They celebrated Mike, you know, and he deserves it. He deserves it. You know how Packers fans are. We love our.
I mean, he was throwing his headset by the end, and that's okay. That was like looking at old. That was like looking at old McCarthy back in the day.
He was pissed. He was pissed. But yeah, I mean, what a game, man! I was exhausted by the end of it because I was dancing so much, and I'm telling the Cowboys fans, this is how you stay warm, man. You know, and I'm up dancing and yelling. I'm doing the jig. You know, it was a blast. It was just a blast. So, yeah.
Awesome, buddy.
Thanks so much for that
main.
ticket.
Oh, you're welcome, Pops. You're welcome. Anytime. Well, not anytime. Only when we're losing so bad for so long that I can get cheap tickets.
All right.
That was Buddy Kinging Ingram, our main pundit in Green Bay. We're sending him to all the games so that we can get the inside scoop from now on. Except I believe Mayhew's paying for tickets next week, so get ready for that, Mayhew. That will be dropped into that invoice will be dropped into your inbox. So I want to ask Mayhew, who had a big dick day for that game? Who had one? Who did it? Who was it?
Oh man, two players immediately come to mind. My boy Christian Watson had the coming out party of the century. Go ahead, Chaz. Show.
You know who it was. You know who it was.
My man had two early drops where I swear to God, I could feel, I just thought like A-Rod was going to give up on him. It had that kind of like feeling to like the day, you know what I mean? But he did.
Yep,
He just went right back to that kid. And all he needed was a little bit of confidence because I've never seen somebody run past cornerbacks faster than this freak of an athlete. I'm jazzed about this guy. And you know what else? Not one jet sweep, not one end around, whatever you want to like call it. They were utilizing him like a receiver to take the top off the defense. And kid flourished. I was just so happy to see him. Just smiles ear to ear. You know what I mean? And on that note, and buddy, you talked about it too with A-Rod. We've been riding him pretty hard on the show. I got to admit, that guy, like you said, he stuck to the game plan. 20 attempts at throwing the ball. Handed the ball off, what am I counting here? Almost 57 times. And honestly, his body language, even after some of the bad stuff, wasn't like what I've seen like in the past. He kind of like was getting behind the teammates. I feel like everybody was kind of feeding off of it. And we started to pick up momentum in the second half, which is very rare for this team. So I would say my initial impressions of this game is that not so much that we won, but the manner in which we did it was surprising to our formula. Typically, we kind of die out in the second half, and we came on strong in the fourth quarter when it mattered. And buddy, it sounded like the crowd played a pretty big role in that situation too, because you could hear it. You could hear it at home, Chaz. Am I wrong?
You could. Absolutely, you could. I had mine set to a specific game setting as opposed to sports setting because it literally elevates the crowd noise over the announcers just because I wanted to physically hear what was going on. And the players were constantly telling everybody to get out of their seat. And you could just see it was, I mean, I don't hate to say it. It was like watching Packers football. It was like watching Packers football for one of the first times this season.
It was great. I was standing up dancing, and all of a sudden the crowd was just getting into it so much, and I'm yelling out, "I'm feeling a momentum change. There's a momentum change," and you could feel it, man. The vibe in the stadium was unbelievable, and you could see it in the swagger of the players down on the field. It was amazing. You know, they were appreciating us, and we were appreciating them, and that's the way football should be.
Absolutely. And it's just both sides of the ball for me this week, Chaz, buddy. My man, Rudy Ford on the defensive side, getting the start at safety, moving Darnell Savage into the slot. I swear to God, Chaz, they've been finally listening to this fucking pod again.
I'm telling you, dude, they have to be.
And like the interceptions, that's just like low hanging fruit. But dude, the guy just seems like he's always around the ball and he's physical and he's what I'm looking for in a safety where I'm like, we were forced into it with Stokes going down, but man, it seemed like it paid dividends that I think I think this defense is going to start to pick up some momentum in the second half here. I'm excited.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to take us out of a little bit of last week and go into just the breakdown of last week into the second quarter with my main man, Nigel Flurm, aka Aaron Mayhew's going to throw some stats at you, some PFF grades. Mayhew, take it away.
Now, boys, I think we'll start off on the Dallas side of things because they did not have a bad day themselves. This was like a battle, back and forth roller coaster of a game. And my man Dak here threw the ball 46 times, 27 completions, 265 yards, and 3 TDs. That's a pretty solid day if you take away his 2 brutal interceptions, both of which I don't know what the hell he was thinking. We got gashed in the run game a little bit here. Tony Pollard ran the ball 22 times for 115 yards, averaging 5.2 and a TD. But the guy who I was impressed with would be CeeDee Lamb. All day long, we didn't necessarily have an answer for this guy. He's quick, twitchy in the slot. They put him on the outside. 11 receptions, 150 yards, and 2 TDs. It's impressive.
Ooh,
It's
yes,
impressive.
It is.
That's amazing.
But if you focus in on the defense, which everybody was trying to tell me was elite, I got to admit, boys, offensive line took care of business all day. I didn't see Micah Parsons' name really get called or showed like at any point. And aside from I think we gave up maybe 1 sack, looking like 2 all day. I thought the offensive line did what they needed to. But again, we were pounding the ball down their throats, so it made life a little bit easier on everybody. So that's where we switch over to the home team. Like I said, 20 attempts from A-Raj, only 14 completions, which is hard for him to not just sling the pill. You know what I mean? But he played ball. Man put up 224 yards, 3 TDs, no interceptions for a quarterback rating of 152.1. That is the best of the year, and it was clear that he was looking like the Aaron Rodgers of old. Aaron Jones.
That is the best Cooter rating that I've heard all year. The best Cooter rating all year.
Aaron Jones with 24 attempts for 138 yards and a touchdown, averaging 5.8. Just business as usual for that guy. A.J. Dillon getting 13 of his own for 65 yards for an average of 5 yards. Man, when you can run the ball like that, it demoralizes the team. And like you said, buddy, you do that for 4 quarters and you start beating them mentally. You know, fans start leaving early and the tide turns. Going down into receiving category, we already talked about Christian Watson. My man, 4 receptions, 107 yards, 3 TDs. I think as far as rookie receivers and Packers, he's number 3 all time at this point for this amount of yards and touchdowns in a single game. Man is already breaking.
This guy is going to be great. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Could not agree more. Sammy Watkins chipping in with 3 catches for 47. Also had a decent day. And then on defense, we got Kenny Clark with the sack, Adrian Amos with the sack, Rudy Ford with the 2 interceptions like we talked, and nothing too flashy. I mean, they gave up 28 points, but they did what they needed to when they needed to. So overall, statistically, boys, what does it say? It says we won a goddamn game, and we're still in the hunt in this NFC.
Give me the
that is
give it
just,
to me, buddy.
It's
Give
a
it to me,
weekly
buddy.
enigma.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
We got to talk special teams real quick here because I got a question for you, buddy. Actually, on that first kick from Mason Crosby, my kids were scrambling. I kind of missed it, but what the hell happened exactly?
He just hit it low. He's hurt, and he just hit it low. Low onto the side. It wasn't.
Okay.
It was a good snap. It appeared to be a good snap. Good hold. He's just hurt, I think.
Okay.
And that's what scared me when he
television,
came
though.
out at the end of the game. He came out at the end of the game
Oh,
to
right.
win it. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no, he's hurt because he doesn't kick
on
like
television. It looked like that ball hit a wall of wind. It was going, and then it just shanked. So I couldn't tell if that was a wind thing or if it was just a placement thing. But you're saying it seemed like everything was in order. It's just one of those things.
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting. Gentlemen, I want to hear some final thoughts about last week. I'm going to go ahead and say that as long as we stay healthy, if this team can stay healthy and not get any more injuries, I think we are going to be sitting pretty. We are sitting at the exact same record we were in 2016. And I think that we can turn the season around at least a little bit. I'm going to be hopelessly optimistic, but Mayhew, what do you think?
God damn it. Every week I go back and forth with this team. I want to believe, and this was like a good win. I don't want to take anything away from this team. The 2 interceptions from Rudy Ford, you take that away and like this game isn't even close. You know what I mean? So it was good that we kind of came up when we needed to, especially in the end, driving down and getting the field goal. My confidence isn't quite there. I need this Thursday's game. We come away with a win there. And I'm a little bit more back on board. That was depressing. I apologize.
Not at all. Not at all. Buddy, what do you think? Final thoughts of last week?
Well, in my opinion, their attitudes changed at the end of this game. I felt a different vibe. I felt a different vibe from the fans that were there, and I saw a different vibe from the players and the coaches, and it's the knot. I think it's good that we got to play again on Thursday night because it's a quick turnaround, and they can hang on to that vibe, and I think they can pull it off. I think if they can get these 2 wins in a row, it's going to be a tough game, But I think they can get this momentum. If they can keep the momentum that I saw them get, and the fans can stay involved, because when the fans aren't involved in the stands, it does nothing for the power in that stadium. It really makes a difference when the fans are into it, and it makes a
100%.
difference for the players.
I mean, I think you just said something that was amazing. There's a quick turnaround. That means the fire's still lit. Like sometimes for this podcast, we have issues with we have something we want to say and we might talk about it in texts and calls and Marco Polos. And by the time we get in front of the screen, it's that fire's gone. But having that quick turnaround, I think is going to also be a really good force of positivity for this team. Gentlemen, thank you for the first half of this podcast. We're going to move into the third quarter here, which is going to be talking about the team we are coming up to play, which is the Tennessee Titans. We're going to talk a little game planning for the Titans. Scouting report, Mayhew, tell me a little something.
Well, anybody who follows football at all thinks of this team and they think Derrick Henry. Potentially the greatest running back in the league when healthy. Guy is a behemoth of a man that they just will hand the ball off to 50 times a game if you let him. Now, the run defense has still been a little bit suspect on our end, kind of a bend but don't break mentality. So I hope the boys can dial up something just to kind of keep him in line, because then it falls back on Ryan Tannehill, who was out for a couple of games, came back this last week against the Denver Broncos for a real barn burner. Final score 17-10. Now, you take away those 2 guys, and the focus actually has been their defense has been ferocious. A couple of injuries and other guys stepping up. Their coach Mike Vrabel knows how to run a tight knit crew that just doesn't make a ton of mistakes. Now they sacked the quarterback 6 times last week and 18 quarterback pressures on top of it. Just made Russell Wilson look like a bigger pussy than he's been the past 9 weeks in a row. But so yeah, boys, cold weather team that likes to run the ball is not exactly our strong point. So it's going to be a battle royale here on Thursday Night Football. I'm really glad this game is at home, and I do think we have what it takes to bring home the W, but time will tell.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the breakdown of the Titans. We'll be back after this commercial break. Can't get it up? Tired of hearing her say, "Don't worry, it happens to lots of guys." Then you need Buddy's Boner Boosters. Buddy's Boner Boosters are a one-stop shop for all your lip-dick needs. It'll take you from this to this in no time. So head on down to your local bodega or lingerie boutique today. Big Buddy's Boner Boosters. Sponsored by Big Dick Energy Drink. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Two Dads and a Chaz podcast. I am your host, Chaz, sitting here with Buddy and the Porcelain Prince, Aaron Mayhew. We're going to move into the fourth quarter here with a segment we like to call What Grinds Your Gears? Now, What Grinds Your Gears is a special segment we like to do every week on simple things, not always football related, just literally what upsets you in your day to day. So I'm going to move it over to one of my main men, Aaron. Tell me a little something. What grinds your gears?
It's just the little things. It's always the little things. Like today, it's a snowy day. You know what I mean? Traffic's kind of like intense. And like I went out of my way to give a gap for a guy to shoot across the lane and pull out in front of me. Now, buddy, when you were growing up in your generation, you get a little wave, right? Little shake maybe out the window. Acknowledge like a human being that like, you know, someone helped you out. Nothing. Bunch of young high schoolers probably getting high on crack, and it fucking grinds my gears. God damn it.
Yeah.
Grind it, gear.
And that's what grinds.
It ain't
me
like
gears.
it used to be. I can tell you that right now. It ain't like it used to be.
Back in my day, you had to give a wave and 2 honks. You gave 3 honks. That means you had a baby on board.
That's right.
Buddy, tell me a little something. What grinds your gears, buddy?
Oh, what grinds my gears is over pursuit of a tackle. What the hell is over pursuit of a tackle? When you tackle somebody, you wrap them up. How are you going to over pursue them if you wrap them up? When you tackle somebody, you lay a shoulder into them, you bang them. How are you going to go past them and over pursue them if you're laying your shoulder in them and wrapping them up? We got to get back to the simple things, because this Derrick Henry, he bangs. And you can't be afraid of him. You got to go right at him and you got to wrap him up. They got to start practicing the basics of tackling. That's what grinds my gears.
Well said, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was very well said. And that is a segment we like to call What Grinds Your Gears? As we move into the 2-minute warning, my friends, I want to ask, who next week against the Titan is going to have a big dick day? Buddy, who do you think is going to have it?
I think it's going to be C-Dub. C-Dub's going to have another big dick day. Yeah,
Oh,
Christian Watson. Yep. Another one. You should.
Thank you.
The applause that guy got when he got that first touchdown, when he finally caught his first ball for a touchdown, that stadium went freaking crazy. He did that backflip. I mean, this is what the guy needed. He needed a little bit of,
Support. He needed some support.
He can succeed at something. So I think he's got that now. I think he's got the swagger. He's going to take it.
Mayhew, who's going to have a BD day?
Well, I'll tell you who's going to have a real limp dick kind of a day is Amari Rogers, because he's no longer with the team. I think we should just briefly touch on this.
They have been listening to our podcast. They've finally done it.
I feel genuinely bad for this guy. It was clear he shouldn't be returning punts. We've been talking about it for weeks. I'm like, just take this off his plate. I still think he could have been potentially serviceable as a receiver. We will never know. I can at least applaud our GM and those higher ups for actually just cutting ties with the draft pick 2 years in. That's tough, but it clearly wasn't working. His confidence is shattered.
His confidence. Hey, don't worry. When he gets signed by the Detroit Lions and wants to have like his comeback game against us and still sucks, we'll have made the right decision.
They do love our leftovers, don't they? Yeah, absolutely. Now, big dick boys, I'm going to go defense, and I'll tell you who kind of stood out, and I was watching all game long with Rashawn Gary being out, my boy Kingsley Anagbare. Nothing too flashy, but the guy, like, I also didn't see the camera on him with any, like, blown, like, he's a good, like, run. He sets the edge, God damn it. And I think his pass rushing moves will only get better. And as far as like a guy we drafted, I think it was 4th, 5th round, stepping in and starting his first game, I thought it was big. So I'm looking for him to erupt next week. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and say it. You know, in the early 2000s, I was watching the CW a lot. Yeah, I said it. I was watching Smallville. I was watching One Tree Hill. I was watching all that shit on the CW. Now I'm going to be watching the CW on Fox with 2 touchdowns, baby. He's going to have a BD day. And you heard it right here. But I also think it's going to come down to a little, that's right. It's going to come down to a little Mason Crosby action. We have been relying on him this season a little bit more than I would like. And if he is injured, I'm hoping he can at least just do what his job entails. I'm not needing to make a 54, 55, 56, but just do what he's got to do. Lastly, but surely not leastly,
it's contagious.
I want to hear a little bit about final score predictions. My friends. Aaron, who do you think? Why do I keep saying who? What do you think is going to be the final score of this game?
I don't think we have the type of team to pull away from anybody. And like I said, this is going to be a smash mouth game of football. I feel like it's going to be cold. I'm going to call, it's going to be a squeaker at the end too. 21 Packers, 20 Titans.
Ooh, a closey by the teethies. All right. Okay. Buddy, final predictions. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, my final predictions are that the Packers are going to win it 28-14 because Aaron Rodgers is going to follow the game plan again. And I didn't hear that these Tennessee Titans players were cold weather players. Tennessee's kind of warm, if you ask me. Now, is that hard hitting going to hurt more in the cold to those Tennessee players, or is it going to hurt more to the Packer players? I think the Tennessee players are going to say, ouch, but that Derrick Henry can put a sting on you too. So 28-14 Green Bay Packers.
I hear that, and I like it. I love it just as much as I love you. I'm going to go ahead and call it 97 to, just kidding. I'm actually going to go with a Green Bay win of 24-14 because I think we're going to get a 3-pointer from Mason that's going to keep us in the lead. We're going to hold them. The defense is going to hold them to only 14. I have a feeling about it. I don't know why, but that's what I'm choosing. Gents, any final thoughts before we give our lowly hays and Haiti hoes and goodbyes for this week?
I feel like I got to touch on the body language. That's not even like body language. He's straight up like the camera shot in on Aaron Rodgers, basically screaming at Matt LaFleur for his play calling to end regulation time. And I got to admit, I was actually kind of frustrated too. This man had a minute and a half, and this is actually when Aaron Rodgers is at his best. If you need a touchdown, maybe not so much. If you need to get in field goal range, that is his goddamn bread and butter. And he called back-to-back running plays, put us in a third down situation that just didn't make sense. And A-Rod came to the side and looked like a dick doing it. But I'm also like, LaFleur, you gotta I brought this up a lot. I feel like when he gets into the crunchiest of moments, when it really fucking matters, LaFleur doesn't seem like a killer in any capacity. I think of like the Tampa Bay game, like in the playoffs, you know what I mean? The guy kicks a field goal instead of going for it. He's a good play caller when things are going smoothly, but when it gets to crunch time and you got to get creative or you got to like be on the ball, I'm a little worried about his ability to rein it in, man, and separate himself from like a regular coach to one of the greats.
Well, Mayhew, I got to say then, here's the thing. If I had to just shoot from the hip on why or how I felt about it, I think how other people felt about it and what happened, we've had a season where we're not trusting Aaron Rodgers in the calls he's making at the line. You know what I'm saying? If he is changing play calls, if in the line of scrimmage, if he's picking the wrong person, running a certain route, if he's choosing run over pass and pass over run, we're going, hey, man, follow LaFleur's fucking lead. Follow it. And then we get a game where he finally does it. He finally starts kind of, gelling with that idea and that play, that modicum. But at the same time, he wasn't always Aaron Rodgers in that game. And I think that was a moment where, and you could see the frustration on his face because he knew what he probably should have done in that play. It's not that we didn't have receivers running routes, but he decided to double and triple down on doing what was expected of him. And when it didn't work out, it was an I told you so moment. It doesn't mean that he hasn't been doing the job he's usually supposed to do all season, which we have been complaining about and created a podcast about. So was it right or wrong? I can't say that, but you are definitely 100% on the money with when it comes down to it. Maybe LaFleur may not be the guy you want to, sit in a foxhole with necessarily. And that's one of those moments when I love the Aaron Rodgers. Don't worry, guys. I got this.
Well, Chaz, the thing is I think it's almost like a double-edged situation too, because over on the other side of the field was the coach that I knew for many, many years, and he blew like that final drive for his team as well. Again,
absolutely.
They are, okay, what was it? It was 3rd and 4. Okay, 3rd and 4. They're actually in our territory. He decides to throw the ball, which is fine if you're going to kick a field goal. But what does he do? No, he doesn't convert. Honestly, Jair was there a touch early. As a Packer fan, I'm willing to admit it, but it's good coverage, 4th and 4, kick the field goal, put the pressure on. But no. He decides to throw the ball again. And then we, obviously take it down. It's like, if you're in 4-down territory, why do you not just run the ball 2 times when you've been gashing us like all game long? That was classic McCarthy. Guy smashing I went from like the beginning of the game being like, God, let's honor this guy. And like by the end of the game, I was like,
thank you.
Yeah, really nice that you're not here anymore, actually. I'm tired of that.
Buddy, any final thoughts?
I missed that whole Aaron Rodgers and LaFleur on the sideline thing because it was a television production piece. They zoomed in on that on the camera from what I hear. And I wasn't paying any attention to the sidelines at that point of the game. I did think that there was some screw ups on the time, with a minute and a half left, that we weren't working the clock well, but I didn't catch that stuff with them. And I didn't see McCarthy get all upset either. I was busy watching the game, and I was yelling, I was screaming, and I was trying to tell them Cowboys fans how warm I was because they weren't. I missed it.
It was your love for Packers and country that kept you warm, my friend. That's what it was. Your passion.
The whole time I was thinking, once the game was over, boys, was Ty's description of the visiting team's locker room that they had to walk back to.
Leaky pipes and wet carpet and broken stools and one light.
Yeah, they're like, the lights stopped working during halftime, guys. We really apologize. Also, your bus has flat tires, but it was really great hosting you.
Come back anytime.
That's old school.
Come back anytime. I love that. We like to end this podcast the same way every weekend, ladies and gentlemen, by giving a hashtag fuck the team we're going to play. So this week is going to be a hashtag fuck the Titans, and we're going to do it together. I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank Buddy for coming in as our special guest and sitting through those games, which I know is super hard for you to do, enjoying your goddamn self. I want to thank the Porcelain Prince for being my main man, doing this podcast with me. I know we're a little short this week, but guess what? The content was great. I'm going to give it a 3, 2, 1 together, and we'll do the fuck the Titans. 3, 2, 1. Hashtag.
Fuck the Titans.
The Titans.
The Titans. Catch you next time.
2 dads and a Chaz putting trophies on the wall. 2 dads and a Chaz is talking Green Bay Packers football. Not exactly qualified, but answers the call. 2 dads and a Chaz talking Green Bay Packers football.
We gonna break it all down, probably leave out some facts. We gonna make some statements that we'll likely regret. Most of gossip and rumors made straight off the top. So crank up the air condition, cause it's bound to get hot.
2 dads and a Chaz, we live it and we live it right. 2 dads and a Chaz, we gonna break down football for you tonight. Besides them rings and putting trophies on the wall.
Trophies, y'all.
2 dads and a Chaz is talking Green Bay Packers football. Yeah, we talking Green Bay Packers football.